starts now. WLFI Lafayette. News from where you live.
Good evening, I'm Samantha Tiki. Thank you so much for joining us. A man named in connection to a homicide in Lafayette is under arrest tonight. This afternoon, police arrested Anthony Perez in Little Rock, Arkansas. According to the Little Rock Police Department, officers responded to a report of a suspicious call at the Central Arkansas Library. When officers got there, library security said they had received a call from a woman saying Perez was inside the library. The woman claimed to be Perez's ex-girlfriend. Officers then saw a man matching Perez's description leaving the library. Perez ignored officers' orders to stop and became combative when they approached him. Police were eventually able to handcuff Perez and arrested him on his outstanding warrant for escape. Perez is a person of interest in the September 4th shooting death of Casey Lewis in the Lafayette Walmart parking lot on Commerce Drive. Since mid-August, Perez had been under the supervision of Tippecanoe County Community Corrections. However, he removed his tracking bracelet on September 1st and had been on the run ever since. Perez is currently being held in Arkansas. He is now awaiting an extradition hearing to be sent back to Indiana. Contractors recently found a sinkhole and other issues at a sober living apartment complex in Lafayette. As News 18's Joe Paul reports, 12 women are now displaced until renovations are finished.
This is basically my last chance to get my kid back and to do better, because otherwise I'm looking at prison time.
Hannah Williams finds herself at a new sober living house in Lafayette after Home with Hope's Women's Recovery Center unexpectedly closed.
I'm lucky enough that I found somewhere, but not. A lot of the girls are having problems and they're scared. They're worried.
Contractors renovating the apartment complex found more problems than anticipated, including a sinkhole in the parking lot, forcing residents to move out for safety reasons.
Ran into a few more bugs than we thought.
Brian Donnelly is vice president of Meridian Health Services, which owns Home with Hope.
They'll be getting therapy, counseling, and that kind of thing. It's just a matter of where they will live, and our staff are working with them to find appropriate places.
Donnelly says the home's 12 women are getting financial assistance and help finding new living arrangements. But Williams says that's wrong.
I did this on my own. They told us that we needed to find a place, and they're not offering any resources to help. No financial assistance as far as I know of. So it's been a little bit rough.
She fears some residents might leave the program and relapse.
That's a big fear of mine. I mean, because like I said, those girls are my family. We've gotten really close with each other, and it really bugs me.
Donnelly recognizes the closure causes added hardship. He says staff are helping in every way they can.
The urge to relapse is always there, and the coping skills may not be there. And so we know that this is a large stressor for these individuals, and we want to ramp up our support of them.
Reporting in Lafayette, Joe Paul, News 18.
Donnelly couldn't provide a timeline for when construction will be finished. He says work is expected to last for several weeks to months. Food Finders Food Bank is getting $16,000 to help fight hunger thanks to Duke Energy. The Duke Energy Foundation is awarding nearly $100,000 in grants to local food pantries and community organizations across the state. The grants will support the purchase of canned goods, fresh produce, and essential supplies. Food Finders in Tippecanoe County will get $11,000. Food Finders North Central Indiana will be awarded $5,000. Duke Energy's Dan Rhodes says the grants are in response to the recent economic inflation. He says rising costs have taken a toll on customers and the agencies that help them in times of need.
If you're hungry and worrying about where your next meal is going to come from, it's really hard to be successful at other things in your life. So we really see it as foundational, and we want to get out there and support organizations like Food Finders who do a really great job of giving people those basics that they need to be successful.
Duke Energy serves 69 of Indiana's 92 counties. Rhodes says the $100,000 will help food pantries in the majority of those areas. A Purdue employee who once served the royal family is reflecting on Queen Elizabeth II's legacy after her death. Aaliyah Blackburn has the story.
Not everyone can say they've stood next to royalty.
I'm right behind the...
But Anthony Caudron can. For the last 22 years, he's managed the president's residence at Purdue University, but his hospitality resume spans all the way to the UK.
Did you ever imagine, growing up that you would one day be working for the royal family in any capacity whatsoever?
No, I don't think so.
It's part of the reason he made it in this photo of the Queen's luncheon when the restaurant he worked at catered the meal, a job made possible through his previous years as a butler to different members of the royal family.
I was at Blenheim Palace for about 2.5 years, and then at Sutton Place for another 2.5, so 5 years in total.
Cadron carried those jobs throughout college in Oxford and after. By the luncheon, he was about 23, standing alongside to serve Queen Elizabeth, who he remembers for her polite and vibrant demeanor and even her drink of choice.
Always enjoyed a gin and Dubonnet cocktail before lunch, so that was always, we had to have that ready, and so there's one right here.
As a new era begins, Cadron says it's the human side of royalty that he remembers most, paying homage to the Queen that he says he'll never forget.
The biggest hurdle for everyone is just realizing that, that there is a change, that she's been the only queen that most of us have ever known.
Again, that was Aaliyah Blackburn reporting. Tomorrow, Charles will be formally proclaimed king in an ancient ceremony at St. James Palace, and other proclamations will follow. During the ceremony, he will swear an oath in front of members of the royal family and his formal advisors. Well, it was a beautiful day for golf today, and even a better one to go golf for a good cause. The Tyler Trent golf outing took place at Coyote Crossing Golf Club this afternoon. Today's event raised funds for Purdue's Center for Cancer Research. The outing is done in honor of Tyler Trent, who died from osteosarcoma cancer 2 years ago. The Joe Tiller chapter of the National Football Foundation sponsored the event for the second consecutive year. A celebrity guest also took part in the event. Former Purdue and Chicago Bears quarterback Kyle Orton showed his support at the golf outing.
It was a great event to come out and support Tyler Trent and the cancer research here at Purdue, and had a lot of good groups out on a nice day, and had fun on the golf course and raised a bunch of money.
The organizers of the outing were not able to get us today's total funds just yet, but it will tag onto last year's $12,000 that was raised. For more than 2 decades, tens of thousands of responders are dealing with chronic health issues after their exposure to toxic dust and debris after the September 11th terror attacks. As Dan Lieberman reports, now research is looking at other long-term impacts on these patients, including COVID-19.
Michael Gullub spent 11 months at Ground Zero. First as a volunteer with his fire department. Later, the company he worked for was contracted by the city.
I was responsible for the medical care for everybody that was on the site.
Within a week or so, he couldn't stop coughing.
I had that for years until I started coming here and getting the proper medication.
Here is the Stony Brook World Trade Center Wellness Program. Thousands of responders are seen with conditions such as obstructive airway disease, asthma, cancer, PTSD, and depression.
This gives rise to a variety of susceptibility and vulnerability to being able to deal with other diseases or infections.
Program Director Dr. Benjamin Luff's latest research looks at nearly 1,300 responders who had COVID-19. Data shows patients with 9/11 related chronic conditions are more likely to have more severe infection and suffer with long COVID symptoms such as shortness of breath and brain fog.
Now that we've been able to follow these patients for as long as a year, we find about 15% of our patients continue to have problems with long COVID.
Another recent study suggests responders with PTSD could be affected by a specific form of dementia. Michael encourages responders to be monitored and get treatment.
The first few years before the program, I used to tell people when I die, put 9/11. I don't think that anymore.
And he's grateful he's still here with his family. Dan Lieberman, CBS News.
And now, your Storm Team 18 forecast. Weather from where you live.
All right, highs today, low to mid 80s. Viewing area wide tonight. We've cooled back down into the mid 60s over the viewing area with some high mid-level clouds that are increasing from south to north. That's that storm system we're watching, which is right now on the Gulf Coast. You see the spin here on the move northeastward. So the clouds gradually increasing, gradually thickening some tonight with a low near 62 degrees. There are the lows you see at 57 to 65 area-wide. Tomorrow, low to mid-80s for highs, maybe an isolated shower in the morning, then a few scattered thunder showers bubbling up tomorrow afternoon. About 35% coverage and a humid to muggy high of 83 after the 62 in the morning. There you see the highs for the area. Overall, 85 at Flora, 83 Monticello, about 84 at Attica. Ross-Ade, again, Purdue taking on Indiana State. The Sycamores, again, any precip isolated early, then bubbling up, few scattered in the afternoon. So if you're tailgating, beware of that. 78 at noon, 83 at 3. And then the kickoff is actually at 4 tomorrow. And at kickoff, we should be in the low 80s and then upper 70s at halftime. Again, be aware of some of these scattered thunder showers around. Now on Sunday, it is a humid to muggy day. Winds are southerly, turning to the west-northwest late. There'll be a few scattered showers, thunder showers initially, but then pretty widespread rainfall and even a few thunderstorms embedded afternoon and into the evening hours. As after a high of 77, we fall with the rain around to around 70 or 72, and there are your highs, 72 to 79. There is Futurecast. Early tomorrow morning, an isolated shower possible. A few scattered thunder showers bubbling up tomorrow afternoon, a few tomorrow night, and a few into Sunday. This is Sunday around noon, and then more widespread rainfall and a few embedded storms afternoon to evening. And then after a break Sunday night, a few more showers come in on Monday afternoon and evening with a half to 1 inch of rain area-wide expected. But there will be a few isolated locations that get 2 inches of rain out of this. A fall day Monday, 71 for the high, mid-70s Tuesday. Then we warm back up. That's kind of the beginning of a big heat up coming up down the road. 86 Thursday, 87 Friday.
All right, Chad, thank you so much. The Friday Night Frenzy is in week 4 of the football season. Coming up after the break, you'll get to see 8 amazing games and find out who won some tough rivalry matchups. Stick around. The Friday Night Frenzy continues after this.
I know, I was like, is on. Maddie's on.
Talking, mic check. Brie, I can honestly say.
Are we going to fix this shot a little bit more? Or? Not, but I can. Oh, great. This is going to be slightly annoying.
Oh my gosh, where did you get that dress?
Well, it's almost like that dress that Rachel before was wearing today with videos.
Oh, no, never, ever.
Bye, Sam.
Bye, have a good weekend.
You too.
Here's my gas card.
It's the Friday Night Frenzy on News 18. Sports from where you live.
It's that time of the week again, folks. It's finally time for our Friday Night Frenzy. I'm your host, Bree Shackelford, so thank you so much for joining us. We have a total of 8 games for you on our lineup tonight, so let's skip the pleasantries and get straight into the action, shall we? Up first, Sports 18's Kelly Hallinan has all the highlights from our game of the week. Kelly, how was the sword game?
It's Friday night, which means high school football, but tonight, it's not just any other game. It's the sword game, a rivalry between Harrison and McCutcheon that has been going on since 1976. Let's see who wins that sword tonight for our game of the week. Raiders are ready to go, running out with the sword to start the game. Can they hold on to it for another year? Amarian Dixon was in the house as well for the matchup. First quarter, it was all McCutcheon defense. Mavs forced 2 fumbles and didn't give up any Harrison touchdowns. Here's Mavs QB Owen Smith finding Cam Little, who had a nice catch right there, but McCutcheon would not end up scoring a touchdown. Harrison's Ben Henderson takes charge. Here he sees Carter McDonald and throws a bomb. McDonald secures the catch, and on the very next play, Henderson runs it in himself to put the Raiders on the board. This was the Raiders' first of many. Henderson could not be stopped, and the Raiders win the sword game 38-3.
When I looked to my left and saw O here, it kind of like gave me a sense of he's back. He's back and he's here. Let's get our mentality going. Let's get that Amarian mentality going, and let's get this win. He knows how much I love him. He's taught me so much, and those runs were just him and how much he's taught me.
The kids were really excited. Obviously, when you get to play a rivalry game, it's awesome, and the experience, the student section, they were awesome today. We came out and started pretty slow. The second half, we came out and just played much more physical and much better football.
The sword will stay with the Raiders after a dominant 38-3 performance. Reporting for Game of the Week, Kelly Hallinan, Sports 18.